Time now for Vikings Fan Line on the Minnesota Vikings Radio Network. Your chance to talk about today's game with the Vikings broadcast team. Add to the conversation on Vikings Fan Line by calling 651-989-KFAN or toll free 1-800-320-5326. Now it's your reaction to all the action. Vikings Fan Line. Here's KFAN's Ron Johnson and Eric Nordquist.
34-31, the overtime final in Baltimore. The Minnesota Vikings with a 24-10 lead into the third quarter early on after the kickoff return touchdown. Give up 21 unanswered, force OT in the end, and it's Justin Tucker. You don't get much more automatic than Justin Tucker, who wins it for the home team. Vikings fall to 3-5. I'm Eric Nordquist in for Corey Cove. Corey's so disgusted with what's happened the last couple of weeks. He's needed the time off, and we have granted it to him. But joining me from the 651 Carpet Studios, Ron Johnson. How you doing, man?
Good. How's it going? You know, good as it could be.
Beautiful afternoon.
After that game, I mean, there's not much you can say.
Well, I mean, you become thankful for other things in life. 651-989-5326, 800-320-5326. The Vikings lose, and we're going to jump on these phone calls momentarily. Maybe another player interview, checking back in with Baltimore. I know Kirk might be at the podium here shortly. Looking forward to hearing more from their reaction after the game. But, Ron, I want to start with this, really. 89 offensive plays for the Ravens kind of tells the story, and we're going to get into the play calling. That overtime possession for the Vikings was disgusting to me. But 89 offensive plays for the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson. They beat our heads into the ground in that second half and come out with a victory.
Yeah, when you look at 46 minutes, and you also can look at the 89 plays, they had 36 first downs. The Vikings had 13 first downs, but they both had 14. Well, the Vikings had 14 attempts for third down. The Ravens only had 15. And I said this in the pregame show on Fox. The Ravens are one of the best teams on second down. I've said this over and over again. I don't understand why it's like I heard Ben Lieber say in his postgame, it's ugly, it's this, it's that. No, it's not. It's poetry. When you're a big defensive linebacker and you're just a lumbering, defensive player, yeah, all that confusion to you looks awful. That's poetry in motion is what it is. You got guys shifting. You got motions. You got a quarterback and a coach saying, I'm going to use my guy and do what he does well, which is he can throw and he can run, and you have no idea what's coming your way, but you got to figure out a way to stop it. And they had 500 yards of total offense. How can we even say that's awful? In my opinion, when you look at second down offense, we are one of the lowest as far as trying to gain first downs. We're not we're playing for third and short too often. And then oftentimes we're settling for a dump out the backfield or a quick toss over to Dalvin Cook, or we're hoping that Justin Jefferson out of Thielen, is open for a 4-yard gain. We have to find ways to get creative and attack. I mean, you see Kene Nwangwu with the ball, and you at no point do you say, let's run a jet sweep. Let's run a screen with this kid, because in open field, he looked today at least, looked a little bit better, looked a little bit quicker and faster than Alexander Madison. They've got to find ways to give him the ball. But yeah, 89 plays. I mean, if we had a couple more minutes, they would have went for 100 plays. 100 plays of the Vikings 52. That's what's crazy about that one.
Yeah, it was an exhausting affair in many ways here. And as we jump to the phone lines, let's start with Vikings fan line. It's Anthony in Oak Grove. What's up, man?
Hey, man, I just want to say, man, this game was an embarrassment. I mean, when you want to step on the throat, this was the time to step on the throat. I mean, these swing passes and stuff that the Vikings are doing, I know it works at times, but today was not one of those days. I mean, the coaching, the calls and everything was garbage. It was just, it wasn't a game where we should not have lost this game. We should not have lost this game. When you're up 24-10, coming off of a kick return, you got them. You have them. You're containing Lamar Jackson, one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. And we let it go. We let it go. And we should not have let it go. We had them. We had the Ravens. We had them. All
right, thanks. Thanks, Anthony. I appreciate it. Here's what I'll say to that. So you get the kick return touchdown right away, Ron, to start the third quarter. That's awesome. You got the 2-touchdown lead. That's sweet.
Yep.
I will say this. you can't blame the offense. I mean, the possession that they did have didn't go well. You even have the fake punt. There's penalties. It was a disaster, which is what we've come to see from this offense.
Mm-hmm.
After that kick return touchdown, Ron, the Ravens had a 10-play touchdown drive for about 6 and change. We screw up our possession, end up punting. And then they had a 10-minute, 18-play drive. They held the ball for 16 minutes after that kick return touchdown. And so I do want to get to the play calling because there are some seemingly repeating issues in that regard. But I was kind of amazed how does this weird screwy offense with Lamar work? Because I can't say we had a guy contained when he ran for $120 on us. He found his way to scramble back there through, I think, 270 yards, something like that today. I can't really say we contained him, but it's just a weird, ugly offense that just got us in bad spots.
Yeah, no, what it is honestly, they're just using their guys. And so when you look at the double curl routes and again, Chris Boyd on, Hollywood Brown, I'm guessing Lamar Jackson's going to take that matchup 10 times out of 10. And so you look at that, you run the double curl routes. There was only 2 guys in that route tree, but the problem is the linebackers can't help out underneath and the safeties have to pay attention to Lamar Jackson. So they're just they have a weapon and they're using it. When you have a weapon like Lamar Jackson, you use it. And that's the key with this offense. They don't care what traditional football says. Oh, he has to sit in the pocket for 3-step drops. He has to do this. No, they're going to run jet sweeps. They're going to run bubble screens. They're going to do everything in the backfield, whether you call it window dressing, whatever you want to call it. They're going to do everything after the snap to make your linebackers stand still until they can figure out where it's at. And the next thing you know, the ball's in the air. And at times to start, they had it figured out. And then the minute Lamar Jackson, because I think it was 24-10, at one point it was 17-13. Once they figured out what the Vikings were doing defensively, then Lamar Jackson started to take over. And I think it was just time. Like when you have the ball for 46 minutes, eventually the defense just gets tired. And that's what happened. They got worn down. And that's what this offense does. They wear you down slowly but surely. But when you have a quarterback that can run for 120 yards and also throw for almost 300 yards, that's the problem. And again, Hollywood Brown still had 116 yards. Rashad Bateman had about 4 catches, I think, or 5 catches for first downs. Like, they are just finding ways to get the ball into their playmakers' hands, and that's the end of it. Like, we can say whatever we want, but I guarantee if we had that offense here and we had Lamar Jackson and we had this production, we wouldn't be calling it ugly or confusing. We'd be saying, man, I'm glad we're using our weapons. So when you look at Justin Jefferson, you look at Adam Thielen, and you turn around and wonder, Justin Jefferson has 3 receptions. Dalvin Cook, finally got 17 carries for 110 yards. Get him the ball 25 times is probably not always the answer. Sometimes you got to throw to get the guys out the box. Like when Alexander Madison's in the game, we're running plays and he's not really going anywhere. So what is the actual purpose of these plays? Like, if he's just going to run into a line and get tackled, like, spread the guys out. You got other weapons. You got, D.D. Westbrook. You got Justin Jefferson. You got Adam Thielen. You got Tyler Conklin. And then you still, have your third guy. And I don't know why I'm drawing a blank in the other, KJ Osborne. Spread them out every once in a while. Go 4 or 5 wides, empty, and let Kirk Cousins just, see what the defense gives you. At no point do we do anything but what people see on film. If you know what we're going to do on film, you're going to stop it. You got to do some stuff that people haven't seen a ton of. Like, go empty and just let Kirk Cousins can throw the ball. Let him pick them apart for a little bit. Go no huddle, speed it up, go up tempo, get them on their heels. At no point did the Ravens defense actually feel like they were on their heels.
I dig that. Spencer in Los Angeles, welcome to Vikings Fan Line.
First of all, I want to say thank you, Nordo, Ron. I love listening to you guys. Going to be excited to be at the game next week despite all this. Positives, I like the aggressiveness with the fake punts. I thought we had shorthanded success with everybody out on the defense. And creative use of talent. Let's get that rookie running back involved. That was all great. My concerns, I always heard that when you're away, you go for the win. And if you're at home, you go for the tie. I thought we should have gone for the 2-point conversion. On the macro level, the carousel of coaches, I think, is a systemic problem. And Zimmer's approach versus Harbaugh, this is my last thing. Today I heard Harbaugh says, what do you want to do, Lamar? You're the team. Zimmer doesn't even let Kirk think about timeouts when 90% of the fans watching are going call timeout. That's a problem. Leave it to you guys. Thanks so much.
Hey, thanks, Spencer. I'm with him, man. I think we should have went for 2 there at the backside of regulation. Your thoughts?
Yeah, might as well. I mean, at this point, I'm feel like I'm Corey Cove now. Like, let's just play the numbers. You're gonna get more chances. I mean, if you go 50% on 2-point conversions, you get 1 point out of it. So, hey, I'm throwing everything out now. I'm full Corey Cove mode. I'm dressed in black. Like, yes, go for 2.
Absolutely. Hey, Ron, when we come back, I want to hit something with you. The play calling situation in a couple of different spots today, including overtime. I had some issues with it, and I'd like to discuss it with you. It looks like some of our callers do as well. Dylan, Cliff, Drew, Jeff, all on hold. We're going to take your calls, 651-989-5326, 800-320-5326. The Vikings lose 34-31 in overtime. Justin Tucker from 36 improves the Ravens to 6-2. Vikings now 3-5, 2-5 in one possession games so far in 2021. Wow. Your calls when we return. Vikings fan line. This is Minnesota Vikings football.
Vikings football heard here on FM 100.3 KFAN, The Fan.
Going to be a 36-yard try, left hash. Nick Moore snaps. Veteran punter Sam Cook holds. Justin Tucker has 17 game-winning field goals. Snap spot. Tucker, as reliable as the sun. Final score, 34-31 Ravens.
Indeed, 34-31. Welcome back, Vikings fan line, 651-989-5326, 800-320-5326. Your calls via fan line, then into Vikings overtime, and then into Minnesota Wild hosting the Islanders, fresh off that shootout win last night. So we got you covered all day here, and let's get back to the phone lines. Dylan from St. Cloud, you're on Vikings fan line.
Hey, guys, I love your stuff, Nordo, Ron, but I just have a few questions about, what happened after the second half. We were explosive in the first half. The Justin Jefferson 50 yards, Dalvin Cook 60 yards. But then you get to the second half, the defense, offense, just so tired. Like, we just can't make plays. I mean, the play calling, it's just like you want to convert on third down, but you run. You're the third down long, you want to run. You can't do that. You got to find someone open in the downfield.
All right, thanks, Dylan. Hey, Ron, let's just jump into it. This offense, You score touchdowns on the first 2 possessions of the game. We like that part of it.
Yep.
But then after that, it's a 3 and out. It's 6 in a punt. It's 3 in that field goal after you get the Cam Bynum pick. Really could have used 7 there. The weird possession in the third quarter, 9 plays. You had to get the fake punt just to get the extra setup. You end up punting anyway. Then you go 3 and out, eventually tie the game, and whatever the hell they tried to do in overtime, still can't explain it. I'm just teeing it up for you. This offense, just in general, and some of those things creeping into the to the problems in the story of a 3-5 team.
Yeah, well, if you look at the one thing about the Ravens defense, and to the caller's point, I understand what he's saying about the first half versus the second half offense. And coming into this game, and I even talked to Anthony Weaver, he's my former training camp roommate. We got drafted in the same draft class to the Ravens. He's now the run game coordinator for defense for the Ravens. And so when he looked at that, we joked about it, but then I looked up the numbers and it held true today even. In the first 7 minutes of every game, Kirk Cousins is the number 1 quarterback in the NFL. He has 139.6 passer rating. In the second half of the start, the first 7 minutes, in the second half of every game, the Vikings drastically change. I don't know if it's the play calling doesn't work. Clint Kubiak doesn't have a plan, which it seems like it now, because in the first 7 minutes of the second half, the offense is 21.2% on getting first downs or touchdowns, and that's 25th. They're only averaging 3.5 yards per play. That's 29th. and they have 9.1 yards to go per play, and that's 31st. They have 0 touchdowns and 0 field goals in the first 7 minutes, which is their first drive out the second. So in the first drive to start the game, they're all world. They're world beaters. It's great. Clint Kubiak has his first 15 plays drawn up. Great. Second half, absolute trash. And so when you think about that, I heard Greg Roman, they brought this up on the telecast. Greg Roman said for the Ravens, he doesn't even script 15 plays anymore. He's like, that's old school. He said, I have a quarterback that I'm going to let the offense come to me. And that's what he's doing. And maybe that's something we need to look at.
How about that? The combination of being completely stagnant to begin the second halves of games, and our defense has given up 45 points in the final 2 minutes of the first half in games this season. What an absolute combination of futility there. Let's go to Cliff in Maple Grove. Welcome to Vikings Fan Line.
Hi. I have a problem when they need a foot for a first down. The running back is 8 yards back there, and then before he even gets 4 yards, there's 3 defenders breaking through the line of scrimmage. It seems like their playbook has slow developing plays, slower developing plays, and the slowest developing plays. Have they ever thought about misdirection or a quick hitter once in a while? Thank you.
Yeah, I like it, Cliff. Kind of dovetailing off of that with the short yardage plays and some struggles that we've seen the Vikings have. Are you seeing anything in particular? Now, Dalvin gets that edge, and it was beautifully blocked. He goes for 66 today.
Yeah.
But overall, Ron, you've watched it closely. I don't think the run game has offered the explosive components to it that we are accustomed to. Part of it's Dalvin's health. But kind of the in and out, and maybe this is all part of the, in that umbrella of this offense. But we got that one play from him here. But is there a lack of explosion, and is there any reason for it in general with the run game, short yardage or otherwise?
I mean, I don't know. I don't see it. I do not see that. I saw the one Dalvin Cook play up the sideline, and then you get Alexander Madison in, and it ducktails off. Like there's nothing after that. And so, again, I looked at some of the plays. He got tripped up in the backfield, to the caller's point. It's not all his fault, but possibly is his reads or his eye vision different than Dalvin Cook's? Most definitely. Again, I'm going to beat a dead horse, but I think Kene Nwangwu deserves more opportunities now. Like, he's healthy. You drafted him. He's fast. He's explosive. You got to switch it out. Maybe put him, Nwangwu, and Cook in the game at the same time. If you're going to throw the little hook screen deal, go both ways. Go double screen. Do some stuff that we've seen other teams do, like when the Saints did that with Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram a couple years ago when they both were at the top of their game. Like, we have to take advantage of Dalvin Cook at the top of his game and a young rookie who's coming in showing, if I get the ball in space, I am not going to get caught. And so you have to be able to, and again, the only way to get more plays is speed the game up. The only way to get more plays is get more first downs. 13 first downs is not going to cut it. 1 for 13 on third down is not going to cut it. So again, it's Mike Zimmer brought this up. We got to find ways to convert first down. How? I don't know. But you gotta pick the tempo up. Like, this is not your grandmother's offense anymore. It's slow. It's boring. Like, give me chaos. Like, Lieber didn't like the chaos. Give me chaos. I want chaos. Like, I don't know if you ever seen the Gophers practice on Friday when it's just out of control, full speed, but it's chaos and it's controlled. That's what the Ravens defense used to be. Control chaos. Give me the chaos, because just lining up, I mean, at 3 and 5, that's not.
I'm not ready to use the Gophers offense as an example to.
No, not their offense. Their practice is chaos. The practice is chaos, just like the Ravens defense is chaos. So it's controlled. It's a reason behind it, and it's chaotic. But to them, they have a reason for it. Just like the Ravens defense, when they would throw 11 guys at the line of scrimmage, it was confusing. It looked chaotic, but they all knew where they were supposed to be. And 8 weeks in, of course, you can't just revamp the entire offense now. So it's fairy dust, and something we're going to wish for, but you got to speed this thing up at least.
Absolutely. Jeff from Black Duck may be hoping for fairy dust. Welcome to Vikings Fan Line.
I'm the thing that concerns me is how many times we have a 2nd and 8 or a 3rd and 8, and we're throwing short just for the receiver to get the first down. Why not go further down the field, have them come back, it worked a lot with Thielen and other guys during the year. And in fact, I'm disappointed how many times they have thrown to Thielen during the last couple of games. But that's just my opinion.
Okay, I appreciate it, Jeff. I want to get into this with you, Ron, here. In overtime, I've referenced it a couple of times, but I want you to explain this to me. And maybe I'm just seeing it incorrectly. The one OT possession, you get the short Dalvin pass, it's 2 or 3 yards. Then you get the negative run.
Yep.
And into the third down, the Ravens are showing, and then they did essentially a zero blitz. It was man-to-man on the receivers. I think it was Thielen and JJ running a route, may have been one tight end. I'd have to go back and look at it. But what I saw on that play, Kirk is out of time and out of luck. Is there some sort, because JJ and Thielen kept running their full routes.
Yeah.
There was an opportunity there where Jefferson beats his man, and all he has to do is level out whatever deeper route he's running, beat his guy across the field. He doesn't have the first down. He has 50 yards potentially, or at least until that near side corner turns around and realizes Jefferson has it. Is there something that Kirk can do in that spot where he can audible against a team that sends zero blitzes, I believe, more than anybody else in the league, and it couldn't be more obvious when it's happening? Is there anything that Kirk could have done to get his guys to run routes that could beat those man-on-man routes and coverage?
Yeah, I mean, so every team is different. Again, it's tough to, as a former player, I mean, that's the one thing I have to always remember. You can't just say what you think is the right answer because of a video game or a scheme you've seen another team do. Every team's built differently. But, yeah, basically in zero coverage, there's a couple ways to beat it. One, if you know the sticks are at 6 yards, and I think that first touchdown, we saw it. They had an out route and an over route that were kind of right around that 8 yards where the sticks were. Marlon Humphrey is waiting for the over because he's just thinking this is what they want to do. They're trying to, Justin Jefferson is just a dummy route. He's getting me out of here, and they're going to send a deep over. Both guys, the safety and Humphrey, both looked to try to stop that over. Kirk hitched just a little bit, held it, and then threw it deep. So it's got to be that same situation. One, you're going to take a hit in the mouth. Like, that's the first step. You can't back up. You can't be worried about getting hit. You're going to get hit in the mouth. But that's why you get paid the money. And so one could be a hitch and go, because if you run like a 5-yard, 6-yard hitch on zero blitz, the DBs are jumping it because they know the ball has to come out fast. And the minute he bites, you go out of that and you sit in there, you throw it, you take the hit in the mouth. But you know you're going to get a touchdown off of it because there's nobody else back there. The other thing is run some kind of double combo route where you have a progression where one guy's going deep, one guy's going short, and you can see it early where I'm getting it out of my hand and I'm going to trust my guy 50-50 down the field. Other than that, I mean, honestly, it's got to be coached up in practice. Like, that's just got to be worked on. Here are your options. If you see zero blitz, here's what you can check out of. Here's what, but again, we bring this up. Kirk Cousins can't use the timeouts because he doesn't know what Zimmer. He might not be able to audible out of some of this stuff. Like, we keep thinking it's him. He might not have the autonomy to do it. And if that's the case, that's a problem.
Absolutely. 651-989-5326, 800-320-5326. That's Ron Johnson. I'm Nordo from 9 to noon, in for Corey Cove. To those on hold, Corey, Keith, Drew, Grant, Jerry, we're going to get to your calls. 800-320-5326, 651-989-5326. This is Minnesota Vikings football.
The Vikings postgame conversation continues tomorrow on my show. It's Paul Allen, weekdays 9 to noon on FM 100.3 KFAN.
First down, Lamar back to pass, whips one over the middle. Intercepted by the Minnesota Vikings. Cam Bynum, the rookie, to the 30, 25-20. Cam Bynum. He comes up with his first National Football League interception, and bad becomes worse for these Baltimore Ravens. It is a 23-yard return by Bynum, and it's going to be first down for the Vikings, deep in Ravens territory, leading 14-3. Cameron Bynum. Jackson play action. Ball's tipped at the line. Intercepted by the Vikings. It was tipped at the line of scrimmage. And coming down with it was Nick Vigil. No, Anthony Barr. Let's go. Anthony Barr, I believe, tipped it, and I know he came down with it, and the Vikings have turned over the Baltimore Ravens.
How about that? The Minnesota Vikings defense with 2 takeaways today. Offense gives it away none, just like last week against the Dallas Cowboys. Even chip in a 98-yard kick return from Kene Nwangwu, so you're +2 in the take give. You get a special teams touchdown, and you lose. 34-31 is the final. This is Minnesota Vikings Fan Line. I'm Nordo from 9 to noon. Ron Johnson with me. And 651-989-5326, 800-320-5326. Let's jump back into the phone lines and get Ron's analysis from Corey in Wisconsin. Corey, welcome to Fan Line.
Hey, guys. This is actually Muppet the Dog from Twitter. Clint Kubiak. This team, as you guys have been saying, is so boring. I swear to God, it's a common man bid. So the question I have is, do we have a good replacement for Kubiak in Kene Nwangwu? Okay, I don't see why it doesn't hurt to try for the rest of the season for 3 reasons. 1, he's young. 2, he's not a Kubiak. And 3, we can only hope that he's not vanilla. Rest in peace, Dov. I'll hang up and cry.
All right. Thank you, Corey /Muppet /whoever. That's a popular refrain. I mean, in some ways, as many people that are as pissed off at the head coach as they are, they're equally as angry with the offensive play calling. Now, Kene Nwangwu, Jaguars great, I believe has never had play calling duties. As a coach, he's only handled wide receivers in his pro career dating back to his time in Washington in 2010.
Yep.
Your thoughts, I mean, in terms of if that's a move either that they should make or would make or did make, play out the hypothetical, how would you handle something like that?
I mean, Zimmer calls the defense. He might as well call the offense too. No, that's that. I'm not gonna go there. I mean, when you when you look at the play call, and honestly, again, we always talked about control and how Zimmer likes to have control, and the whole reason for keeping Clint Kubiak was so Kirk Cousins had consistency. You know, so we didn't change another coordinator going from Stefanski to Kubiak to now it would have been a third coordinator. I don't think that would have been a bad idea. That's my personal thought. You know, I was hoping the youth movement would mean speed, would mean up tempo. It started off, I think, from the preseason kind of in a weird spot where he was on the field calling plays, and then too many players were talking to him. So get in the booth and do it. I mean, even that, to have to figure that out during the preseason, that didn't seem like a recipe for success to start. So I'm not saying, you know, it's time so right now to get rid of them. I mean, because people are gonna bring up, well, they scored 31 points. Well, technically it was a bunch of, you know, some special team stuff in there helped too. But it's all about keeping up with the other team's offense. If they go for 500 yards, you got to go for 500 yards. If they score 34, you got to score 37. Like, it's a team game. So you can't sit up here and say, I did my job, you guys got to do yours. 5 for 14 again on third down, just like last week, 1 for 13. Teams being able to figure out it's too predictable, you know. And then in overtime, like Ben said, after the interception, to really not have an idea of what you're gonna do, like that to me seemed weird. You know, players' helmets are on the heaters and they're not expecting to go back out there. You know, whatever the reason. Like, I don't know whose job it is to keep the offense engaged, but it's gotta be the offensive coordinator telling the rest of the coaches to have their guys ready to go in case an interception happens, or in case a fumble happens, or in case a quick change happens. Like, that's just part of the game. So I don't have an answer for it, to be honest, but it does have to change. The offense has to get more up tempo. It has to speed up, and it's got to get a little bit more creative.
Yeah, hard to say if Clint Kubiak's going to be able to change that, because through 8 weeks, we've seen nothing but the same, and it's not working. Drew in Minneapolis, welcome to Vikings Fan Line.
Thanks, guys. With the first half winding down and the clock running after first down, we inexplicably called a timeout with 1:37 seconds left. All I could think to myself was, do we want to give enough time back to Lamar Jackson? And we did. And Adrian Peterson may be back in the league, but we don't have to run it for no gain on 2nd and 10 anymore. He doesn't play for us. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. I will be honest. I was watching the TV copy, Ron. Mm-hmm. I believe that it was Schlereth or Amin, I think, was calling the game. And he said that they had to call the timeout because Udo hit the turf, and it was inside of 2 minutes. And so I don't know if that's accurate. I agree it was not advantageous.
Right.
But I thought it was because it was inside of 2 minutes. If I'm wrong, then it's just another week and another conversation related to timeout usage and time and clock management in general. Jerry from Crystal, welcome to Vikings Fan Line.
Thanks. See, listen, I think it's obvious. What the problem is because we've had a defensive coordinator that's pretending to be a head coach for a number of years, who ran out of town 5 qualified offensive coordinators because they wouldn't run an offense that protected his dearly beloved defense. We're in a situation where we have a young, incompetent family member friend running an offense that he has no continuity to. He doesn't run plays to set up the next play. For example, in overtime, he runs a swing pass, testing the perimeter. It doesn't work. And what does he run? He runs a sweep the same way on the next play that gets stuffed. My point is this, the game is being called like he's got all of his plays in a hat, and while he's watching a Paw Patrol movie, he's picking out plays randomly and calling them, which he has a hard time even getting in. The problem is Mike Zimmer. Yes, the coordinator is not competent, but we only have the coordinator because Mike Zimmer isn't a competent and never was a head coach. He has no idea nor cares about anything but defense. I don't know what it takes for the Wilfs to fire this guy, but he's got to go. Otherwise, the torture will continue for Vikings fans until Mike's gone. Plus, you don't get a nose like that from eating M&Ms. Mike's hit in the bottle, I promise.
Okay. All right, Jerry. Hey, all points and such aside, the one thing that it keeps popping in my head, Ron, is you think about this team, and I hear Adam Thielen continually saying it. We're too good for this. We're better than this, and we just got to go back to work, get our heads down. My first question that pops in my head halfway through the season nearly is, are we actually better than this or too good for this? But, for a team, and we've seen it through Zimmer's tenure,
right?
You've always needed to have that veteran autonomous coordinator. And for the most part, these guys, save for Stefanski, who kind of had Gary Kubiak lurking in the shadows. To what extent, I have no idea. DiFilippo was a disaster in his first spot, and now Clint Kubiak's off to a rough start as well. If this was a team that felt like with this talent, we are in a win now situation, to hand over the keys to the greenhorn didn't seem, if we're analyzing it fairly, that's putting a kid in a tough spot to instantly be up to speed and produce something with a very experienced group, whether or not he was here and knows the names and the faces.
Yeah. To the caller's point, I mean, he went way too far, but yeah, I agree with that. Like at some point when it comes to vetting an offensive coordinator, you got to have some type of thought process into what's going to go into this and what's this offense about. And for Adam Thielen, I think he's looking at it on paper. So for Adam Thielen's comment, we're too good for this. When you look on paper, it's like a boxer. And Mike Tyson said this best. A boxer can look great on paper until you get hit in the mouth. And then that plan goes all out the window. And that's what happened. The Vikings hit the Ravens in the mouth, and they had a plan for it. They were down 17-3 with like a minute and 39 to go in the first half. And they came back. They came back with an uppercut, a right hook, and then they landed a haymaker, and they were back in the game. And the Vikings, after the Vikings got hit in the mouth, they could not figure out how to get back in it. The offense stalled. Like once they got up, they stalled. They had nothing to do. Like without Kene Nwangu's opening drive, kickoff return, the game would have looked a lot worse. And I think that's what we're forgetting. And without his punt fake play, the big play off the edge, which he created, because technically another guy gets tackled in the backfield. His speed, I mean, when you watch him pull away from guys, it's tough to see how fast he's really moving until you look at the guy chasing him. You're like, oh, wow, that guy ran a 4.38 as well. That's how you can see how fast this kid really is. And without those two plays, it's a totally different game. Like, and that's what we're putting too much on this. Like, and Adam Thielen's frustration, you saw him bring it up. You saw his agent bring it up. The frustration is that how do we have this many weapons and we are out here losing? When we have a quarterback that can make all the throws, we have 2 all-pro receivers, we have an all-pro running back, and we can't figure out a way to get more than 52 plays when the other team's getting 89. We can't find a way to get more than 13 first downs. Like, I think that's what he's frustrated about.
Absolutely. Vikings fan line, 651-989-5326, 800-320-5326. One more segment of Vikings fan line via the Vikings radio network, after which we'll slip on over to KFAN 100.3 FM, The Fan, also the iHeart Radio app. You can stick with us the entire time. To Jackson, Keith, Taylor, Grant, Chris, and so many more. You're on hold. We're going to take your calls. It's Ron Johnson. I'm Nordo from 9 to noon. It is Vikings fan line on KFAN and the Minnesota Vikings radio network.
We talk football. Live for this. This is The Fan.
Tucker, short, Nwangwu from the 2 to the 5 to the 10 to the 15 to the 20, angle to the right to the 30, now he outsprints Tucker, and Kene Nwangwu is gone! A 98-yard kick return by rookie Kene Nwangwu, and like a shot, the Vikings lead 23-10. Jordan Berry with his third punt, averaging 53.5. with one touchback and one inside the 20. It's a fake punt, and it goes to Troy Dye, who goes to Kene Nwangwu, and he's fast. Gets around the right side, 35-40. Kene Nwangwu runs the Minnesota Vikings to a first down to the 42-yard line. It is a run of 7 yards by Kene Nwangwu, who came to Baltimore, brought all the charm, and is stealing the show.
Welcome back, Vikings fan line. Kene Nwangwu quickly making impacts via special teams. And as Ron Johnson, my co-host, Vikings fan line, I'm Nordo from 9 to noon. I love it. What he said, we need to give Nwangwu maybe some more reps on offense as well. Let's jump to the phone line, 651-989-5326, 800-320-5326. Jackson in Fergus Falls. Welcome to Vikings fan line.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good. How's it going? What's
Good,
question?
thank you.
All right. Well, I came here on the fan line today to talk about what we need to do about Mike Zimmer. So, in my opinion, Mike Zimmer is a defensive-minded coach. So I was wondering if you guys would think it'd be a good idea to have sign Mike McDaniel from the 49ers, who kind of run the same offense together. He was an offensive coordinator there, and drop Mike Zimmer down to defensive coordinator, and then get rid of Kubiak to bring in Joe Brady from the Carolina Panthers. And if Kubiak does good somewhere else in the league, then maybe bring him back. But I think he's too young to be like a professional, like to help us win a game.
Okay. Well, first of all, Jackson, I'll tell you that you did your research, and I love it. I do know, well, I shouldn't say I know, because I don't really chat with the man very often, but
right.
I don't see how, if we brought in Mike McDaniel, the offensive coordinator for the Niners, and suddenly now he's the guy, and we have Zimmer just handle the defense, I don't know how he would take that. It feels like if there's a change made, that Zimmer would have to clean out the office and probably vacate the premises, turn in key cards and all of those things. And Joe Brady, Ron, I don't know if you've been watching the Panthers games lately. We saw him a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Brady having some trouble with that offense down there.
Correct.
In Carolina and Charlotte as well, although they got McCaffrey back, so that certainly changes things. Let's go. John in West Virginia. You're on Vikings fan line.
Hey, how's
Hey
it going,
there.
guys?
Very well.
Good. Hey, I just want to echo what everybody else is saying. I've been a Vikings fan since I was 5 years old. I'm 53 now, and my opinion is we should have looked at cleaning out Zimmer's office last year. I mean, we've been going downhill. It's been hit and miss. We get these games where you look at this offense and you're throwing to the flats to Cook, and you're getting 5-yard losses and 2-yard losses, and you keep calling the same daggone play. I don't understand where they're going with this offense. I really don't understand it. If you guys can help understand, please explain to us. Let us know what's going on. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, John. I want to point some of the offensive woes And it's tough being outside of the building, Ron. I don't know how accurate or inaccurate it is. I mean, we saw an explosive offense in 2019, or a more explosive offense than we've seen thus far this year, with Kevin Stefanski. And we saw some explosion, some continuity, play calling, the flow, all of the things that you talked about earlier, Ron, with Gary Kubiak. The concept to me that Zimmer is putting this massive governor on Kubiak with the offense, I think he just wants more points and more success. I don't think anybody wants Kubiak to be doing a better job, more so than Mike Zimmer. Now,
right.
To Zimmer. At this stage, there's going to be a lot of calls, a lot of people, hey, how many more games does Zim have left as head coach of the Vikings?
Mm-hmm.
And I look at Zimmer, tons of respect for him. I think that he is a phenomenal defensive coach. But how many more times are we going to figure, whether it's coaching changes and a lot of inconsistency around him? In some ways, there's an inevitability there where the constant tremendous defense that we've seen and some of the other aspects that were staples under Mike Zimmer, those things are inevitably going to fall off, and we're starting to see some of that happen.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about the whole coaching staff as a whole, and to that first caller's point, Jackson, I heard his dad in the background saying, thank us for letting him talk. But, he's throwing out a bunch of names, and the problem with throwing out names like that is the 49ers are 3-5 right now. And the Carolina Panthers aren't doing well either at 4-5. Offensively, they had a horrible day. They lost to the Patriots 24-6, and the Cardinals are beating the 49ers right now 17-0. So there's not going to be a coordinator one that takes a lateral move. That's not going to happen, especially to the Vikings, unless we give them a huge pay raise. You're going to have to find one of these young quarterback coaches or up and coming names that everybody's talking about to do it. Or like you said, it's going to be Zimmer cleaning out his office. It's going to be him cleaning out his office and then getting somebody to come in to be the head coach from either, like a Patriots guy, Josh McDaniels in waiting, or Byron Leftwich, or, somebody like that that's going to come in and bring a whole new vibe to the team. Because where Zimmer's sitting, I don't know if he can fire Kubiak. That's the problem when you have friends, in this league and to their parents and all those other, sometimes it's tough to make those decisions. When you're the CEO of a company, you just hire people, you don't care about firing them because these aren't your kids. But when your kids are under you and your friends' kids are under you, it's a little bit tougher. And so that's everybody saying all this and the governor on and all that and coaching changes. Zimmer might be saying that, hey, you got to get Dalvin Cook the ball more. Hey, you got to do this. But again, he also, I think if Kubiak came to him with a plan, hey, coach, I'm going to go no huddle for the entire first quarter. Let's see how it goes. He probably would let it happen. Like the Colts, I don't know how many years, but for at least 8 years, the receivers never huddled up for the Colts. And that was Peyton Manning's offense. He was going fast paced. He was catching you off guard. And you had to, as a defensive guy, you had to play his chess game. It's time for us to get to that because we can't expect the defense to just win us a championship. We have a Ferrari in the garage with Dalvin Cook, and we're putting him on rocky roads. Give him a pavement, a nice pavement with these receivers and spread it out. Clear the driveway. You had a lot of receivers and weapons to clear that driveway out for Dalvin Cook to be able to just run free, and we don't do it enough. We got to pass the run. I think that's where we're at as a team now when you look at what Tom Brady did for years with New England. They passed first, and then they would end up, you look at it in the game, man, their running back had 115 yards? That might need to be our success going forward.
Yeah, the criticism. I mean, in fairness, not every fan is wrong. Every bit of criticism we're hearing now, we hear via social media. Zimmer's earned that, and he's got to wear it and deal with it with 9 games left in this season to figure out how to turn that conversation around. Clint Kubiak through 8 games at 3-5. He's earned all of the criticism he is getting. 9 games left in 2021 to turn that thing around. Let's grab one more call here before we break. It's Keith in Alexandria. Welcome to Vikings Fan Line.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Pretty much everybody's touched on my stuff. I mean, Kubiak sucks. No doubt about it. He's predictable. We all predicted at home sitting on our couches, so therefore the opposing team's defense knows what's coming. But my next thing would be, at what point do we just let Cousins take control of the offense. I mean, we have an above-average quarterback. Can't say he's elite because he's no Aaron Rodgers. But if Aaron Rodgers was playing with this team right now, there's no doubt he'd be taking over the play calling and running it how he wants to do it. Same thing with Thielen, how they haven't marched into the room and say, all right, we need to pass more, guys, because that's where our weapons are. Dalvin, in order for him to run, we got to have the passing game going. Cousins should be throwing the ball 30 to 40 times minimum, and get a slot receiver. If we don't have time in the pocket for Cousins to pass, get him a slot receiver. Brady did it all the time with New England. Dump a little dink 5-yard slant pass instead of these sweet passes to Dalvin. Thanks for taking my call, and have a good day, guys.
Yeah, thank you. As I look at it, Ron, I mean, we have a slot receiver. That marriage of passing to run or running to pass and chicken and egg and all of this,
correct.
Without getting philosophical on it, that all goes back to the play calling conversation that we've been having. That's dominating fan line, Ron. It's crazy, but I want to talk some more about it with you because there are more things to cover here. 34-31 is the final. Vikings now 3-5. There are 9 games left. Certainly time to change some of these things, but the way the 2-5 in one possession games for this team and the way that they're ending up losing these games is mind-boggling in many ways. 651-989-5326, 800-320-5326. For those of you on hold, we're going to get to your calls, but at this point, we're going to let the Vikings Radio Network go. Thanks for tuning in and being with us today. The next time you hear from us, next Sunday, Vikings at the Los Angeles Chargers. It's a 3:05 p.m. kick. Pre-game for you is going to start around 2, and we're looking forward to hopefully finding a way to beat Mr. Herbert and those Chargers on the road next weekend and turn this thing in a positive direction. Well, we'll let you go. You can continue to listen to Vikings Fan Line via the flagship 100.3 FM The Fan, also the free iHeartRadio app, wherever you are on the freaking planet. Hop on some Wi-Fi, pull on the free iHeartRadio app, and you can tune in. Much more of your phone calls and analysis to go. Ron Johnson is here. I'm Nordo from 9 to noon, leading you into Vikings overtime, followed by Minnesota Wild hockey. This has been Vikings Fan Line on the KFAN Minnesota Vikings Radio Network.
Vikings Fan Line now continues on FM 100.3 KFAN and the Fan Radio Network. Vikings Fan Line on the Fan is presented by Comcast, Honda, Youngsteads, TimberTech, Carboni's Pizzeria, and by Shift Real Estate. To join in on the conversation on Fan Line, call 651-989-KFAN or 800-320-5326. Now it's your reaction to all the action. Vikings Fan Line. Here's KFAN's Ron Johnson and Eric Nordquist.
34-31 is the final in overtime. The Vikings lose. Justin Tucker is pure from 36 yards. And the Ravens are feeling good about themselves, 6-2. The Vikings and its massive fan base not feeling so great. 3-5, 2-5 so far this year in one possession games. I'm Nordo from 9 to noon in for Corey Cove. Ron Johnson is with me. 651-989-5326, 800-320-5326. And we'll jump into the fan lines. Former Gophers great, former Baltimore Raven himself, and former Orlando Predator. Ron Johnson will answer your analysis. We'll go to Frank in Iowa. Frank in Iowa, welcome to Vikings Fan Line.
Yes, how are you this afternoon?
Fantastic, thank you.
What you got?
Yes, I would like to know, is it not too late to make a quarterback change for the backup quarterback that you guys have on the staff, on the rotation, to replace Kirk Cousins, even though the front office has paid him a lot of money, but he's not putting a winning product on the field for the Vikings to be successful? What do you think about that? What do you guys think about that?
That's crazy.
Yeah, well, first of all, I thank you, for listening and calling in, Frank. There's a reason you haven't heard much about Kellen Mond. That's the reason the Mondiacs are, I don't want to say they're in hiding, Ron, but they're very quiet right now. And that's because old number 11 may not be ready, even remotely close to being ready for the NFL. I knew we'd get in at least one Kirk hater today. That's okay. That's all right. How about Brian from New Prague? Welcome to Vikings Fan Line.
Hey, Nordo.
Brian, New Prague, Creeksbend Golf Course. We got Vikings country.
Oh, you're the
up
best.
Tuesday. A little shout out. Thanks to my boy Moss, Miller Lite. Love you guys. But hey, I just want to comment on all the haters for the boss man himself. Why are we hating on the head coach when we see where the problems are all the time? I'm guessing if you guys in the radio network have issues, you're not the first ones or the last ones to go all the time. I think your bosses might have a call on that. I think the Vikings showed great promise today in offense and defense. And as head coaches, they always have a specialty across the board, Mike Tomlin included, one of our prodigies. I think that's something we should always concentrate on, and there's a lot to build on. I don't think that we should just get rid of Zimmer. I understand the struggles and my frustrations as many as others, but I just want to chat with you guys about that. Appreciate all your support. Vikings country, Tuesday.
Hey, appreciate it, Brian. Thanks for listening and calling in. You're the best, my friend. Ron, one thing I want to bring up on that is the Minnesota Vikings. If you think back the last 12 drafts, the Vikings found Everson Griffin, 4th round USC in 2010, 3rd round LSU, I think it's 2015. They find Daniil Hunter. And then what? Crickets. So with a defensive head coach in Mike Zimmer, it's kind of like when I see what's happening in Baltimore and year after year after year, 2 generations of not only above average, but really high end defense in Baltimore. And unlike the Patriots, these guys actually, if they leave via free agency, they go places and they produce. Like they're constantly refilling the cupboards with solid talent combined with great coaching. I believe in Zimmer as a great defensive coach. I also believe in some ways we aren't supplying him with high-end talent year after year after year. You with me at all? You see it differently?
You know what? I can agree with that just from the standpoint of up until Christian Darrisaw was back, we really weren't getting any production this year, and then Kene Nwangwu, until today, we weren't getting any production out of the draft picks. So you can't really dictate injury with both. Nwangwu was hurt and Darrisaw was hurt. Kellen Mond, that clearly is not what it is right now, or, maybe he has to learn just like guys have learned in the past when they got to sit behind a quarterback for a couple of years. I mean, Kirk Cousins even sat behind quarterbacks for a year or two in Washington. So I don't really know. But yeah, I think there is a miss a little bit. The problem is when you have so many draft picks, but not early. We have a ton of 6th, 7th round, 5th round picks, but maybe package those and get some 3rds and 2nds. I don't know if teams are willing to do that. If we take all of our, like you take 5, 6 round picks and say, hey, let me get a 3rd for that. Because at least in the 3rd, you're going to have a guy that probably can come out and help your team. The whole Wyatt Davis thing, we thought he was going to come in and start, week 2 or 3. He's still not playing. So, again, don't know what's going on there. But if you look at teams that we say things are missing, like they're finding ways to get it done. So there's only so much you can blame on not giving a guy draft picks. When you look at all the high dollar value guys that he actually has from the past that are contributing, and you look on paper and you saw the Harrison Smith, the Patrick Peterson, the Daniil Hunter, Everson Griffin, Anthony Barr, Eric Kendricks. I mean, guy after guy, and then you go offensively, same thing. The only thing was missing was Darrisaw. You get him in there, they start to look really good again, and now we're back to stalling again on the offense. Again, 31 points, though, because people are going to bring that up. 31 points, but only 13 first downs. So I don't know how much you can blame Mike Zimmer. I mean, if you say 23 minutes of time of possession, who is that? Is that on the defense or the offense?
Yeah.
Defense, give us the ball
Good
back,
point.
yes. But offense, hey, stop going 3 and out. So it goes hand in hand. So, you're never going to see a team get on the podium and point fingers. But when guys get home and they start pillow talking with the wife or the agent, there's some stuff coming out. Some people are blaming somebody, and I don't know who. Eventually, that tweet's going to come out.
Absolutely. Grant from Falcon Heights, welcome to Vikings Fan Line.
Hey, great show like always. I just had a quick question. After the Dallas game, Mike Zimmer and the defensive coordinator should have practiced with the defense during the week. He said, "Hey, we're going up against Baltimore Ravens. We got a guy named Lamar Jackson, likes to run it. He only needs 3 or 4 yards. He likes to run it to get that first down, but yet he's still got 100+ yards on us. I just don't understand how You can't just focus on that. I realize some of the offensive receivers, whatever, might be open when you do something like that, but it just seems mind-boggling. You know, the guy likes to run the ball, but yet he got 100 yards plus, and I just want to know your comments about that. They should have known that going into this game.
Yeah, thanks, Grant. Any game planning on the Ravens and Lamar in particular?
Yeah, this is the thing. You can't game plan a guy that can throw and run on you. You know, that's the problem is people think he's he's just going to run. You know, like I get so frustrated when I hear people constantly bring that up. You know, like if Lamar Jackson looked like Taysom Hill, we'd be saying he's just a really good quarterback. You know, I'm over it. I'm tired of that. You know, I've heard people in pregame shows bring that up, and not nationally. Nationally, they've let that go. This guy is just good nationally, but then you have those pockets of people that want to, you know, stick that in there. Oh, he's a runner. No, he's a quarterback. He's an athletic quarterback. That's all it is. He's a quarterback that can run better than any other quarterback you've seen. And it is what it is. And so his coordinator, again, Greg Roman, smart. If I have a guy that runs 4.3, why am I going to make him sit in the pocket all day? Now, if he has to do it, he's thrown for 400 yards in the game. So you can play with him if you want. He's going to hurt you either way. What you have to do is when you have a chance to put your foot on his throat, which means keep your offense on the field. That's how you stop him. If you give him the ball, good luck. You stop him by running the ball, speeding the game up, keeping your guys on the field for more than third and short, and going for it on fourth down and not maybe getting it, maybe not getting it, 3rd and 2, not getting it. Go for it on second down. First down, go for 8 yards. If you look at second down for the offense for the Vikings and the Ravens, the Vikings average 8.5 yards to go on second down. That's 32nd. There's only 32 teams in the NFL. They've gained 5.6 yards per play. That's not a first down. You're leaving yourself 3rd and 3, and we don't have a great 3rd and 3 offense. You look at the Ravens. They've averaged 7.5 yards to go. But guess what? On second down, they're gaining 6.9 yards per play. That's 4th in the NFL. That's the difference. They're attacking you when you're thinking they're trying to go for second and short, or second, you know, a short play on second down to try to get to 3rd and short, because that's the mindset. We got to get to 3rd and short. No, Greg Roman's like, screw this. I'm going to attack you because I got a Cobra back here, and I'm going to let him loose. When he gets out the cage, you got to figure out. I don't have to figure it out because I know what he can do. And I think people, you can't game plan that.
No, absolutely. And if you look at it, this guy that you would consider to be a pretty good quarterback in Kirk Cousins, Lamar Jackson has more passing yards and a higher yards per attempt in 2021 than Kirk Cousins does. Plus Lamar just happens, you know, et cetera, 600 freaking rushing yards through 8 games. Your call is 651-989-5326, 800-320-5326. It is Vikings Fan Line. Ron Johnson's here. I'm Nordo from 9 to noon. And we will get more of your calls into the mix, more analysis as the Vikings fall to 3-5. They lose 34-31 in Baltimore today in overtime. Again, returning shortly, it's Vikings Fan Line on KFAN and the Fan Radio.
Your home for all things purple.
Always hit and he's sacked.
FM 100.3 KFAN, the Fan.
Jefferson slot left. Kirk back to pass for Thielen. Caught. Touchdown! Adam Thielen, his 7th touchdown this season, and it's 31-30 Ravens. Let's go, AG19.
That ties the game up at 31, forces overtime. The Vikings had the ball just once. They went 3 and out. It went like this: short pass to Dalvin, then a negative run, and then a 0 blitz, one-on-one coverage with both Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. They run deep routes. Kirk, it's incomplete, and they're punting. And, well, the Vikings lose the game in overtime. 34-31, it's Vikings Fan Line. I'm Nordo from 9 to noon. And Ron Johnson, Gopher Great, with me along, taking your call. 651-989-5326, 800-320-5326. Vikings overtime with Meat Sauce Paul Lambert and AJ Mansour follows. But right now, it's John and Shakopee. Welcome to Vikings Fan Line.
Hey, Nordo. I was just calling.
Hey.
I don't know if our coach understands the concepts of timeouts and when to use them, because it seems like that timeout was called in the first half may have cost us the game. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, but that's just how I seen it.
No, I appreciate you calling in, John. And back to that again, Ron. Maybe I just made this up. I could have sworn on the TV copy, and that certainly is not sacred. They could have been incorrect. I've heard people speaking on the radio and TV for years saying incorrect things. 9 to noon is a great example. I'm on there every day. But Ron, I had heard that because Oli Udoh hit the turf, he was injured, had to leave, and it was inside of 2 minutes that they had to use that timeout. Does that even sound? Did you hear that? Am I making that up?
No, you're not making it up. I think so. That's the thing. I didn't see if that's the case either. But if that's what happened, because honestly, a lot of times I turn the sound down, so I don't hear them as much. I more so just watch the game because I don't want them to. One, I hate some of the stuff they say sometimes, but I don't want them to impact how I'm seeing it. But if that's the case, yes. If they said if he did, because a lot of times too, you don't get the whole angle of the game. But if he did go down and that's why, and it was under 2 minutes, yes, you have to call a timeout, because what they don't want is for the offense to fake an injury just to stop the clock. And so that's the key. Inside of 2 minutes, it's no longer like or
to let the clock run in this particular case.
Correct. And so you have to use the timeout because you have a guy that was injured to go out. And again, it's under discretion, because I think at one point the Ravens had a guy get hurt, but it was Andrews, but the guy, him getting hurt, he had to come out the game. If he stayed in the game, then that's a penalty. And because then he's just, he's playing around trying to, get the clock to stop because they're on offense. So, yes, if that's the case, he went down, you have to use the timeout.
But either way, and on the other side of it, if my intel from the TV copy is inaccurate and we did call a timeout there, that's preposterous. You just can't do that. And now we have an 8-week story of the 2021 season, and a very prominent chapter in that is going to be timeout usage, clock management, and decision-making in big spots.
Yep.
And it's not going to be an uplifting story. Don't read it to young kids because they'll have nightmares. Mark in Florida, welcome to Vikings Fan Line.
Good evening, folks. Ron, you're exactly right. The way to beat Baltimore is to control the game offensively. The Vikings, every defeat they've had this year is the same way, even the victories. They start out great. The offense is moving. They got scripted plays. They get ahead. Then the opponent make defensive changes, and then we go into a shell. And then our defense gets worn down because our offense is in a shell for the whole second half, like it was this game, until the very end, and they lose. So, it's not hard to figure this out. Come on. We need a change. Zimmer's been around too long. It's over. I've been around since the beginning, guys, in 1961. And the Vikings are frustrating. I'll tell you, they're just frustrating.
All right, Mark, I appreciate it. Let's throw this hypothetical out there, Ron. How about this?
Mm-hmm.
If that was indeed a decision that Mark and Ziggy Wilf and those with ultimate decision-making power are, they're deliberating on it. Is this something again, even at this point now, at 3-5, I still don't see it being a move that they would make in season. Does that make sense? How do you view it?
Yeah. Well, again, we don't know what billionaires are sitting around talking about and thinking. If they have a plan, like if they have a guy they're targeting, if they have an agent, the agent of the guy they want, and they're talking to him and saying, hey, would he be open to being our head coach if we were to make this move? If they've gotten a green light from a guy they want and they don't feel like it's getting any better, and maybe at 3-5, you still have the Chargers, which is a beatable team. The Ravens were a winnable game. If you keep ending up in these, come to the very end, lose the game, there's only two ways to look at it. One, we're missing something to give us over the hump. And then you have to drill down where that is. It could be the time of possession, could be the offense not holding the ball long enough. It's definitely not the offensive weapons you have. So then that's where you look. Does Mike Zimmer have it in him to make that change? Hey, we need an offensive change. Whether you add a pass game coordinator, you demote a guy and bring another guy in to help with the passing offense and just the overall offense as a whole. Who knows? It's a rookie, offensive coordinator. Do you allow him to learn the game by, wasting a couple guys' years? You look at Adam, the window to win and the window of these guys is not a long time. Dalvin Cook, doesn't have a long time. Adam Thielen maybe has a couple more years here before we start worrying about, do we keep signing him because we love him, or do you move on from him? When you have these weapons and these opportunities, you have to take advantage of it. And if that's the one small piece, it's Zimmer has to realize, like, look, how much longer do I even want to coach? What's Zimmer's long-term plan? Was he trying, by making his son co-coordinator, is he trying to find a way to get his son a job somewhere else so he can retire off in the sunset and move on and say, I've done my job? Who knows? I
dig it. Paul in East Bethel, welcome to Vikings Fan Line.
Hello. Want to have a reason for the Vikings' past success or no success? You'd have to look at the GM. He's an ability to come up with good draft picks. He's too reactive. He's not proactive. He fired the previous coach. He hired another coach, but he's a common denominator. And when you draft Carousel, who's just undergone a second surgery, and then he gets injured and re-injures his injury, and now he's out again, you've wasted your first round pick instead of taking a quarterback from national champion Alabama. And who now we need a quarterback for our future. There it was. So again, he's reactive. He's chasing his tail, and that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Paul. And that's partly, Ron, why I kind of enter the idea and getting back to coaching changes and things is Rick does have his part of this as well. And getting back to whether it's drafting defensive talent and just consistently repopulating the pool with fresh bodies that can get on the field and produce earlier than later. He deserves some of the criticism, whether it's Paul, and I'm certainly sure others out there are looking at this and addressing this at 3-5. And with the type of personnel you have on this team and the lack of productivity that you have on this team right now, and everybody's pissed off and everyone's disappointed, everybody owns some of that culpability, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It is a team game. So, I mean, we could be as upset as we are about all of it. Frustrated. They're just as frustrated as we are. They're trying to figure this out too. So we'll see what they decide.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Ron Johnson in studio, the 651 Carpet Studios. I'm Nordo from 9 to noon in for Corey Cove. A couple more segments of Vikings Fan Line here, 651-989-5326, 800-320-5326. Get on hold, get online, and give us your thoughts before we hand it over to Meat Sauce and AJ Mansour for Vikings Overtime. And then the Minnesota Wild, no rest following that shootout win last night in Pittsburgh. They're back after it tonight at the X, and we're your home for Wild hockey. So following Vikings coverage, we'll jump over to Kevin Fallness for pregame and puck drop. Wild and New York Islanders. This is Vikings Fan Line. Clark and Todd and Howard and all of you will get back to you next. It's Vikings Fan Line, KFAN, and the Fan.
Your station for Skull is FM 100.3 KFAN. The Fan.
Boom! Tucker, short. Nwangwu from the 2 to the 5 to the 10 to the 15 to the 20. Angles to the right to the 30. Now he outsprints Tucker, and Kene Nwangwu is gone! A 98-yard kick return by rookie Kene Nwangwu, and like a shot, the Vikings lead 23-10.
That's my Liuna player, hardest working player of the game. It's Vikings Fan Line, 651-989-5326, 800-320-5326. I'm Nordo from 9 to noon. 34-31 is the final. And Ron Johnson joins me. Vikings lose in overtime at Baltimore. Next up, the Chargers. And maybe a couple of weeks after that, they head to San Francisco. Hey, Ron, if you can tell me this, what would be more annoying to you? Mm-hmm. Losing on Sunday Night Football in primetime to Cooper Rush making his first career start, or thinking you have an opportunity to beat the Cardinals without DeAndre Hopkins and without Kyler Murray, and you're getting beat 31-7 by the Cardinals if you're the Niners at home today. Which is more obnoxious to you?
They both are. But yeah, it would definitely
it's terrible.
It would definitely be the 31-7 for sure. Cause I mean, it's Colt McCoy, but I mean, again, look at the Cardinals. Who's their head coach? What has he done well? He uses his weapons and he finds a way to have explosive offensive plays. Now, granted,
and he's young and he's got a cool house. I get it.
Exactly. They have 376 total yards, and it's only 5 minutes to go, or it's 5 minutes to go in the third quarter, and they're close to 400 yards already. And they have 46 plays already run in the third quarter. The Vikings have 52 total. So that tells you what they're doing offensively.
Yeah, absolutely. So Iuna
with Colt McCoy.
With Colt McCoy. Yeah, and he looks, I mean,
With
he's
Kirk
had 3
Cousins,
incompletions all day.
Kirk Cousins would probably be a Pro Bowler if he was in Arizona right now.
Iuna, hardest working player of the day, Ron, is Kene Nwangwu. I'm going to take a couple of calls here, and then you give me yours before we wrap up Fan Line and hand off the baton to Saucy and AJ Mansour. We will head to Chris. Chris, welcome to Vikings Fan Line.
Hi, how you doing? Thanks for taking my call.
No problem. What you got?
Well, I tell you what, this team, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not poking the finger at anyone, but they find new ways to lose. It just seems, we got these teams buried and we can't put a foot on their neck and finish. It just seems like they just find different ways to lose. That's all I got. I'll hang up and listen. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah,
it's not new ways to lose. It's the same way to lose in different days. That's all it is.
Yeah, actually, they've been pretty consistent in a couple of key areas that have led to their 3-5 record. How about Howard in Chicago? Welcome to Vikings Fan Line.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. The blame goes 3 places, but the number one blame has to go on Spielman. He makes all the decisions. The last impact player we drafted on defense is 7 years ago. The offense, while he's drafted a nice wide receiver, a great wide receiver, and a good running back, the offensive line has not lived up to all those high draft picks. You want to blame the scouts, you want to blame whatever you want. He makes the final call. He has to go. Your offensive coordinator is good for the first series, and that's it. The plays are way too predictable. He has too many options that he doesn't know how to use, that can't figure out how to use. We all know they can't run the ball to the right, and yet they continue to try to do it. And last, Zimmer does not understand how to put the foot on the throat. And let's go one step further. With a minute left of the game, you're down by 1, have the ball at the 2.5-yard line, you can go for 2. Not going for that is inexcusable or not understanding math. That alone should have gotten him fired.
All right, thank you, my friend. That's Howard in Chicago. Lots to chew on there, whether it's Rick Spielman, the play calling aspects, the drafting, all wrapped up into 70 seconds of gold from Howie. A couple more calls, Fan Line, and then we'll wrap up and toss it to Vikings overtime. Todd and Albert Lee, what's going on?
Hey, guys, you know what? I've always been told that a coach's job is to put you in a position to win the game. And how many times this year have we lost games in the last? We're in position to win. We got guys that are getting gassed. We got guys that can't block. We got guys that can't catch. We think we can run. The coach has got us there to win, guys. At what point do we look at the players and say, hey, guys, this is on you. You aren't doing your job. You're a professional athlete, and you're getting your butt kicked.
I like it, Todd. What do you think about that, Ron? Because it's true. The focus is so dominant on Zimmer. It's 8th season. We're tired of it. You got to go. Clint Kubiak, you only got the job because you have the same last name as the old OC. You don't know what you're doing. You got to go. Spielman, you've been here forever. You got to go. Guys on the field have to play, aspects of execution and lack thereof from the personnel.
Yeah, I mean, we got to watch the film, but when you think about his statement there, they did everything they could possibly do. They got it to overtime. The interception is on the Vikings 40, and you come out after that, and it's a 2-yard to Dalvin Cook. It's a -1 yard to Cook, and then an incomplete pass to Adam Thielen. Like, you need 30 yards to possibly have a chance to kick a field goal to win this game, and you can't sum up 30 yards. You don't have a quick change like that is you go for the throat. The first play should have been some kind of crazy double move, something to get the defense just thinking they're trying to go, because they're thinking the same thing. Quick change. Okay, don't let an explosive play happen on the first play. Why run something short? Run something where you can get some kind of positive slant, hitch, something. Do something to get the ball down the field 5 or 6 yards to put them on their heels now where it's 2nd and short instead of now, like I said, 3rd and 9 or 2nd and 8. Like it just, again, I don't know what the plays could have been in overtime to help. Yeah, could they have blocked every single person and Dalvin Cook breaks the tackle on that short pass left? Maybe, but not likely.
No, I understand that, but execution-wise, I mean, Mason Cole's in there for Garrett Bradbury today. The penalties consistent for the large part of the season with Oli Udoh. You think about, play calling and things. The penalties that happened on the drive where we executed the fake punt with Nwangwu, those are penalties in bad spots. Defensively, Chris Boyd put in a tough spot because he's like CB5 on this team.
Yeah.
He manhandles Bateman down the field. It's a 40-yard PI call.
Yep.
The 12 guys on defense is Sheldon Richardson. Is it for a stroll in the freaking park while Lamar Jackson's about to take the snap? And you get a 12 penalty. You get a 12 man on defense penalty.
Yeah.
Like the execution. As much as coaching should be and is being scrutinized. And again, they've all earned it. Zimmer has not been in his best, needs to be better. Clint, I don't know what's up with Clint and what his future holds calling plays in the NFL. Hope it gets better, etc. The players gotta have some of this as well.
Yeah, I mean, up front, yeah, we can always talk offensive line. And that's why that's what my first statement was. You got to watch the film because the player side of it, on TV, the game's going so fast, you can't break down every single. That's why coaches grade the game after the fact on Tuesday or Monday when they watch it. You got to look and see who got beat, who got manhandled, where their plays. Because that's the thing. Hindsight's 20/20. You can look back and say, okay, if this guy blocked this guy, this play goes out the gate. If this guy blocks this guy, Kurt has one more second to make this throw. I mean, there's a lot of things like the miscommunication between Thielen and Kirk on the scramble drill. The furthest man to the right, closest to the sideline, always runs a go on the scramble drill. Because I don't know what the broadcaster was trying to say. That's why I turned it off. Because his scramble drill rules were wrong. It is not the guy that runs a short route has to run a deep route. It's the furthest guy to the sideline in the direction in which the quarterback is running. You go, everybody else run or horizontal, not losing depth. You come back towards the quarterback gradually so that a guy can undercut the throw if he decides to throw it back across his body. Adam Thielen should have run a go. That's what Kirk's thinking. You're the furthest guy to my right. When I start scrambling, make that little hesitation move and then go. And I'm going to throw it up and you have time to run under this. That's why, everybody is kind of like looking. Yeah, there are plays like that you could probably go back and say, man, if we had done this, if we had done that, if he had more time. But again, you had a chance to win it. You had a chance and you couldn't do it. And I think that's where Zimmer's frustrated is like, we had a chance. We were on the 40. That's great field position and we couldn't do it.
Absolutely. Last call, Vikings fan line, Clark in Dickinson. Welcome.
Hey, guys. Hey, can you comment on the 4th down conversion rate versus our defense? For the year, it's been pretty high, specifically today. If you stop 2 or 3 of them, the score is different, the time of possession is different, all the play numbers are different. You please let me know what you think?
So, what did he say? Say it again.
Yeah, 4th down. I think it's 4th down conversion rate against our defense, which is I'm scrambling
other teams,
here.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's from 4th downs. Yeah, we're allowing conversions at 55%.
Right.
That's into today's game. Yeah, that's difficult. I mean, today when you're watching opportunities like what Lamar had, I mean, we've seen it throughout where it's 3rd and short, 4th and short opportunities. It's kind of flipped, Ron, from the way you kind of painted it, like 1 of 13 on 3rd downs last week against the Cowboys. Average 3rd down to go distance was north of 8 yards. We're giving our opponents a ton of 3rd and short yardage opportunities on 3rd down and ultimately 4th down, and they're getting it done. Of course, a frustrating component of the defense. Let's end like this. Your Liuna hardest working player of the game. I picked the 98-yard kick return touchdown man. First time it's happened since Cordero against the Cardinals in 2016. Kene Nwangwu. Who you got?
I got the same. I got Kene Nwangwu. I mean, you look at all the other guys. I could have picked Lamar Jackson, but it's probably not the way to go. So I'm going to give it to Kene. First time out. He should have had more. I mean, those 4 runs to Madison for 0 yards should have went to Kene Nwangwu today.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks for all you do, my man. And at some point, we got to get you in studio 9 to noon, continue this conversation. And looking forward to hearing you analyze things next week.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Absolutely. Ron Johnson, Gopher Great Vikings analyst, Fox 9, and here on Fan Line as well. Former Baltimore Raven, but I felt like he was rooting for our team. I hope he was. The Vikings lose 34-31. They fall to 3-5 after the overtime loss in Baltimore today. Next up, it's a mid-afternooner. It's a 3:05 game at the Los Angeles Chargers this next Sunday. It'll be a 1 p.m. pregame on your home for Vikings football, 100.3 FM The Fan, as well as the iHeartRadio app. The Vikings Radio Network will join around 2 p.m. as a 3-5 Vikings team just needs something to go right. And maybe it happens in the City of Angels next week. For Ron Johnson, for Max Fuller, Brandon Molesky, Chad Abbott, and all involved, thanks for listening to Vikings Fan Line. Up next, Vikings Overtime. Meat Sauce Paul Lambert, AJ Mansour, Wild Hockey shortly after 7. We're your home for all sports, The Fan. Thanks for listening, and have a great Sunday.